Welcome to the Event Marketing Sevinar, a 7-minute webinar brought to you by Snöball. In this Sevinar series, you get the tip of the iceberg on pre to post-event marketing, practical advice shared to you by event marketers for event marketers.
We really want to talk about today is the sponsorship aspect of events and more specifically retention around sponsorship.
And my favorite sponsorships are the ones where it's win-win-win. Our attendees win, our exhibitors and sponsors win, and us as show management wins. And there's usually a way to architect a sponsorship product that can achieve all those goals.
So how do you sell that to a sponsor?
I think we can all do better at researching our sponsors and their objectives, going into calls when we're pitching a sponsorship with a little bit more information about their products or services or outcomes that would really impact their bottom line. While we might be selling to an event marketer or CMO or head of sales for an individual event, what matters most about the sponsorship sale is positioning it for their decision making and whether that's going to go up the ladder. And so the language we use around an audience segment, it's not unemployed people or something awful like that. That's not the value. Uh, there's people who need services, and there's unique service providers in the ecosystem of your event. Those who are in recruiting, headhunting, talent development, learning and education. To any of those groups, that is a really specific, valuable segment. And so going to market strategically with the sponsorship product rather than just putting it in your prospectus and hoping it sells makes the difference. I use the word community very intentionally when I'm talking about sponsorships. Well, what's going to incentivize them? What's going to give them reasons to participate rather than just receive, right? Making something a two-way street. Um, and I think then getting a sponsor to come along with that journey. Hey, I sent you my email, my logo, just execute my sponsorship for me, isn't going to yield results. But saying, we do have research, let's make a white paper specifically for this, and we'll submit that ahead of time. Or we will hold a post-event webinar recapping some of the highlights of this and then augmenting it once we have a chance to see where our audience is. One of our events has a lot of small businesses, mom and pop businesses looking to exit or hand them down. And that's such a unique position. And it's not going to be for the entire audience of the show. This is one specific segment that matters a lot to perhaps a law firm who would be processing that or a consulting partner who facilitates relationships like that. So one specific sponsor targeting and investing in one specific audience, right? They can do more premium activations or experiences and serve that audience well. And you can make a huge, huge impact on your most targeted
Because I
demographic.
mean, obviously you have the big, large ones that have, massive investments and massive footprint at the event. And you have other ones that have, different access to certain, budgets, but they could be creative. I mean, it doesn't have to be very expensive to be meaningful and creative and make an impression on attendees, right?
Yeah, realistically, the go to market on a sponsorship like this, as much as I'd love to think that we have all the runway in the world and we can take it with such intentionality and bring it to our biggest customers, often our biggest customers are the ones securing their sponsorships and booths earliest, and we don't have a product ready for them, right? The next year is a whole year away. We need some time to bake a plan together. And so more realistically, it's a great opportunity for a new sponsor to come in. So to take some time with the exhibitor list. It's one of the places where I really love AI for augmenting my research. I'm not just Googling a company's name anymore. I can specifically describe it. I can upload our exhibitor list. I can say, make some strategic recommendations and help me develop the pitch or the angle that appeals to them. I think probably the biggest piece is I'm going to say the handoff. The reason a sponsor is going to support this program through the event is that the event owns the data to begin with. We own our audience. We own the channels in which you'll communicate through this audience. We collected it at Reg and then perhaps deployed emails on your behalf to this audience to start engaging them. And we need to give them the platform to then own that list and continue to nurture that community that they've formed. And so there's a trust to that. There's a trust that when you generate leads through an event, you're going to use them responsibly. But now it goes even further to let's make sure that we continue to add value to keep them engaged. That as soon as the event is over, that first thing they do is unsubscribe, then we haven't created a reason for them to stay participatory, right? We are all at this conference, but maybe 3 months from now, likely high overlap with the next conference, maybe we should have a hosted dinner and pull this group together again. Or maybe we can do a direct mail piece specifically to this audience with a book, and we'll form a little mini book club and continue to support each other. And maybe we have an email newsletter, but it's not just us announcing business things at you. Maybe it's that we've created a cohort and we celebrate together. And it makes us feel good. We feel like we're a part of something. We feel like we're cheering on each other. Inherently, there's not competition everywhere we look. There's room for so many of us at the table, and we're all riding on different journeys. And so giving people a reason to win together, celebrate together, be supportive to each other, let them create one-to-one connections through your community is everything.
That's amazing, and that gives you a story to tell. So from a show also itself, you can tell these successful stories, and you have something that people relate to, and you're putting a face to the name and humanizing basically the whole event experience so that they can people relate to it. They see themselves in that. From an exhibitor point of view or a sponsor, who owns that piece to make things work?
A community manager role exists within events, and maybe that's brand and community, or community and education, or community and social media could be. So figuring out who fosters the relationships of the people. And that goes hand in hand with, and maybe one of the key metrics of that role is loyalty, retention of attendees, retention of exhibitors. If you're doing your job right, they are more engaged and loyal with the show. Maybe their return rate for signing their renewal contract is more frictionless because they feel good and have a deep personal connection with the brand. So I would say if no one owns community and no one feels connected to that, and partnerships, marketing, it could sit anywhere in your organization, but I think that person is so, so valuable. People need to reflect and look at the state of the industry they serve, tech, CPG, retail, whatever it might be. There is disruption happening and there are meta trends happening. And that's one of the things I love about Informa events. Anyone I talk to on a show team can very quickly give me those pieces of feedback about what's happening in the state of their industry. And so, first, just identify where the need is. Then, giving your community a chance to self-select or join in on an initiative. If it aligns with your reg date, then maybe it's a registration question, although I know registration and marketing leaders hate me when I suggest adding anything else to the reg sheet. But it could also be a social and email campaign. Hey, we're launching this program. If you'd like to be a part of it, apply here. And I say apply here because it does give you a chance to curate and make sure that the right people are getting prioritized in this moment. Then you're ready to proceed forward. And at any point in that conversation, sponsorship can enter the picture.